Shalom, welcome to Out of Africa Torah Session. My name is Tatra Cohen, and this week we are on the Torah portion, Beshalach, when he had let go. This is coming from the book of Exodus, from chapter 13 to chapter 17. I find this Torah portion very interesting, especially for our generation today, because we are somewhat a microwave generation. In other words, we do not believe in waiting. Everything has to be instant. Not long ago, we were actually setting up one of the very fast network in the world. And guess what? Everyone was excited for one thing, because we had gotten a priority bundle. In other words, you can do whatever you want to do in a split of a second. There is no waiting. And that's what defines this generation. Now, coming back to this Torah portion, it actually brings us the idea of spiritual detour, whereby you have to kind of divert from the highway and add a little more waiting to your usual pathway. And this many do not want to hear, especially those in my generation. Well, this is a very interesting thing, considering that the faith which we are in, the journey of faith which we are in, actually implies that one should learn to wait. Patience is of a magnitude when it comes to the issue of faith in God. Well, the heroes and fathers of faith whom we continue to cite and mention and give as an example in each and every endeavor in our faith life, well, them too, they too also have had this spiritual detour. Imagine you are waiting for a child and the Lord keep adding more and more years. In other words, you are in this spiritual detour. You would have had the child instantly. But in this case, because you are on a journey of faith with Hashem, it implies that you wait so that you are tried and proven that you indeed would be faithful as you proclaim. Well, I like how this Torah portion begins. It tells us that finally Pharaoh had just agreed to say, well, Moses and your colleagues, you can finally leave. You can go and do your business as you have been asking all this time. Now, surprisingly, it's the Lord who says, he in himself, he thought to himself that he did not want the people to go the shorter highway, the shorter way, because if the people were to see, perhaps they were to see the Philistines, they would turn back and return to Egypt. Instead, he made them go a longer way. And later on in Deuteronomy, we are even told that he wanted to try what was in their hearts to see whether they would love him or not. It's so unfortunate that amongst those people who started off with Moses and Aaron, who were so energetic, who were doing wonders, who even followed this great man in action, unfortunately, many of them did not make it. Now, what is the lesson today we find in this Torah portion? Well, there are so many lessons you can draw from it. But today I have one thing that I want to communicate with you. This spiritual detour, whereby you have to divert from your usual way, there are sometimes, not only sometimes, they are usually necessary, considering that most of them are initiated by the Lord himself. Like in this case, it was the Lord who chose for them to go the longer way. Why? Because it was more beneficial for them to go the longer way. Now, what does that entail of you and me? Well, sometimes we got to develop patience. Patience is something that people in my generation do not want to hear about. But when you are dealing with the Lord, sometimes you have to get a little more patient so that you can be tried, you can be tested, and eventually the good that the Lord has always wanted for you will come to fruition. What am I saying in simple words? Have a little patience, because patience is actually what we have faith from. We have faith by virtue of having patience. A little more patience is going to result in this great faith. Faith like Abraham, faith like a mustard seed. All this faith. By the way, talking of faith, talking of patience, mind you, Yeshua actually gave us so many examples of faith. Some of little faith, some of no faith, and some of great faith which had never been seen. In all this, have a little faith when you are dealing with the Lord. And faith calls for patience. When you are dealing with God, do not be in a hurry. Instead, give Him all the time. Let His will be done, like the children of Israel. If He says you go like a roundabout instead of a highway, well, let your will be done. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.